Hey guys, my name is Lwendo Mizinga, and I'm going to go over to you guys the 4 different gestures that you can use in your presentations, whether formal or informal, that you can use on anybody, that are very good to know, because if you use the wrong gestures, like, scratching your nose or, just fixing your whatever you're wearing, that could, take away from the message that you're trying to convey while talking to either your best friend or to a group of people. So I'm going to go over to you the 4 different gesture types that you can use in your presentations regularly. Alright, so our first gesture that we're going to talk about are descriptive gestures, and these gestures are used to describe things like relative size or direction, or just they'd be our adjectives of the speech world, if you would say. An example of that is you could say to someone who's afraid of taking pills. For example, you could say, "Oh, the pill's not too big. It's about like the size of a Tic Tac or something." Like you would pinch your thumb, like you'd use your thumb and your index finger to kind of pinch to kind of show that, oh, the pill's not too big. Also, another example is you can use it to describe direction, like say, "Oh, that Starbucks on that street is over there to the left." Or if you're talking to somebody directly in front of you, you would say to the left, because it'd be their left and my right, so that they would know directionally where something is. So those are descriptive gestures which you use to describe things that you may be talking about in conversation. Our next gesture that we're going to be talking about are emphatic gestures, which are used to kind of convey a certain emotion that you feel about a certain event or anything that happened to you, and you want to show that the other person or people how you felt about that event with sincerity. So like, I'm sure we've all been there, like, we've had that certain math test or something, and then we aced it and we're just like, yes! So you might let out a little grin or something, or you'll have your fist like this in the air, and you raise them, you're just like, yes! And you bring them down, you're like, yes, I aced that test. Or if you failed it or something, you'll kind of throw your arms, you'll just be like, I don't know what I was doing, man, I just didn't study. And then people actually either feel bad for you, because they, see your body language as an indication that you don't feel good about yourself. Or if you ace it, they'll see this body language and think, wow, yeah, that was a good job. And he really, was excited about it. And emphatic gestures really show the emotion in certain events rather than saying, oh yeah, I aced that test. Someone will be like, well great. They won't really feel the effect of what you're saying until you actually show them with your body language, which are emphatic gestures. Our next gesture that we'll be going over is suggestive gestures, which are pretty similar to emphatic gestures as they both are used to describe certain feelings in people. But suggestive gestures are usually more used for conveying certain ideas, not so much moods as emphatic gestures are. So an example of suggestive gesture would be if you're talking to someone about, oh, I give to the poor, and you're kind of just showing your hands, kind of cupped like this, just showing like, oh yeah, I really do give to the poor occasionally, and kind of, get the listener engaged in what you're saying. Or you just be like, I don't give to the poor, I don't care. You could also use that to describe like a certain, I guess, feeling towards an idea of some sort. And that's what suggestive gestures, that's what they do. That's what they show. And finally, the last gesture that we'll be going over is prompting gestures, which are used to show the audience that you want them to respond, therefore prompting them to respond. Like for example, if you're talking to a bunch of minimum wage workers and you're trying to make a point, like, who wants to raise the minimum wage? So you'll raise your hand to show the audience that you want them to raise their hands. And this kind of gesture is good in larger settings, but also in smaller settings. This gesture works especially well with children, as they'll respond to anything that you do. And has the beauty of prompting gestures, which are used to, engage the audience with crowd response. So yeah, I just went over the 4 different gestures that you can use during your presentations or just in everyday speak. My name's Lwendo Mizinga, and thanks for watching.